No, I can't remember now.
What was it?
I can't remember.
Just start singing it. Just get it out. It'll all happen.
Well, when Alana heard Shawna was coming on, she said, "What's that song Beyonce does where girls rule the world or something?"
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, "No."
Right. Oh, cancel that.
Well, no, it's a silly song. Have you seen the video? Shawna Pandya,
Yes.
who has stopped in at the Jody Mitic podcast on her way to outer space.
Thank
I had
you
to
very
say
much
that.
for having me.
The director made me say that. He's in the background telling me he loves me.
Y'all
I'm
look at it.
super excited that you're here.
That's
Can you tell?
true. I
think I'm sweating a little.
Yeah. A little
Yeah,
bit sweaty.
I'm having a little bit of starstruck happening.
Palms are a little sweaty.
I'm really disappointed in myself for forgetting the song I wanted to play for you, though.
Jody, you had one job. Come on.
I actually have way more than one job, just like you. You know, I was thinking about this, too.
Yes.
So, how old are you?
I am 32.
Okay. MD.
Mm-hmm.
Neurosurgeon.
Former neurosurgeon.
Once a neurosurgeon, always a nerd. Anyway, I'm a former sniper, but I'm still a sniper. Muay Thai champion.
That's my second martial art. Taekwondo is my first
Taekwondo
one.
Team
Yes.
Canada Olympics 2021 or something like that.
No, I just competed at the World Cup in Budapest.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's just a World Cup.
Astronaut candidate.
Yes, 2018.
Are you a pilot too?
Working on it so I can solo right now. I have a permit.
So
Yeah.
I've been called a Renaissance man for all the stuff I'm up to.
Yes.
What do we call a hard charging lady like yourself? Like what's the equivalent?
A Renaissance woman?
Right?
Question mark.
Touche.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Renaissance person now,
Person.
I guess.
Right. Of course.
Polymath. I don't know.
So hang on, we got to get a few things out of the way.
Sure.
I'm just super stoked that you're here. Jody Mitic podcast episode 22 with Shawna Pandya.
Yes.
Yeah. And my man Luke Rowan.
Yes, sir.
And we got 1,000 people here.
Yep.
It's all good because Shawna's on a show. What show is it? Are you allowed to say the name? Is she allowed to say the
Am I
name?
allowed to say the name?
Oh, let's go with working title.
Working title.
Anyway, it's about amazing people, and of course, you're on it.
She fits right in.
Yeah, she fits right in.
Right on.
And yeah, so anyway, this episode is brought to you, as usual, by Firehouse Coffee. Firehouse, spelt like the Germans, and it's Firehouse Coffee Roasters on Facebook. Send
Glenn.
Glenn
Thank you.
a message, and he'll fire you off some coffee. I actually had some 5-alarm roast here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hit me pretty good.
I know. I feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel pretty energized.
I
If we
think
could
I
do
put
this
too much in
running,
the French press.
I think you did.
Yeah. I think I like tripled the caffeine.
Starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean a lot.
Our other sponsor, the contract actually hasn't started yet, so
Correct.
And I have no bars to chew on, so
Yep.
until that happens again. Did you hear the last podcast?
I did.
I was really hoping I could have given you some of these strong bars.
I was pretty
They're
excited.
pretty
I was
delicious.
wondering if they were there.
They're peanut butter and like that's kind of what I was trying to make with what I showed you.
Oh, okay.
Those protein bars.
So if this contract doesn't come through,
No,
we'll
it's-
have Mitic bars, is what you're saying.
Eventually, we'll just get strong bar to like package it and we'll slap a Mitic sticker on it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So back to the Firehouse.
Mhm.
Does Glenn have a website yet?
Yeah, no, but neither do we.
Okay.
See,
Oh,
I'm
so we
always
can't-
begging on him, and then
Okay.
like I don't even like Luke
But
and
you don't direct people. Like you're not selling them stuff. So
not yet.
yet, right?
Yeah.
When you do and you don't have a website, then we control you, right?
For sure.
For
Yo.
sure.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
part of the website is so you can sell stuff, right? Well, of course, we'll put Unflinching: The Making of a Canadian Sniper, which you have a copy of.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Did you have a copy of that before you heard of me?
So that's how I heard of you. So
My book.
Yeah. Do you?
I thought you heard of me from Jocko.
No, I knew of you way before Jocko. Do you want me to tell the story?
I'm like throwing my arms up in victory right now.
That's right.
Yeah, so actually it's kind of fortuitous because last year this time I was on my way to Ottawa for the same reason, which we'll get to later, I imagine. And I was
That's up to you. I mean,
Okay,
you're
so-
the guest. You
well-
can talk about whatever you want.
Sure.
That's
So, well, basically I was here because we're testing spacesuits in
Right.
ZG. And I was on my way out of Edmonton Airport and I pass the bookstore and I have this serious problem where I can't walk past a bookstore.
You're like me. Yeah.
Without buying anything.
Oh,
Like,
I got over that. But you're still young. You're a little younger than me, so
Yeah.
you'll get over it eventually.
And so then this one was prominently displayed. I was like, tell me more. So I went in and I read the jacket and I was sold, and I was like, well, I already have 6 books with me that I'm not going to read. I really shouldn't buy this. But then, the jacket and the cover story sold me, because at that point I was really reading a lot of military books, primarily Navy SEAL ops in recent history. But I was like, I want to read about a Canadian.
Right.
So I read it and I actually finished it on the way over here to Ottawa. And then I saw you were from Ottawa, and I was like, I should email him because he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, you're 100% correct in that part.
Well, hey, come on. Let's not get wild here.
Yeah. And so I knew who you were. I think I actually even sent you something on Twitter.
Yeah.
But then, I listened to Jocko podcast religiously. So when I heard you were on, I thought that was fantastic. That there was a Canadian on the show. So that's,
Isn't Twitter awesome?
Twitter's pretty great for connecting.
Yeah. I met Dane Cook from Twitter. Or
That's
I
awesome.
connected with Tate Fletcher, you, Jock. Like it's like a never-ending cocktail party.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, but is that one signed?
It is not signed.
Like it doesn't even have my
yet.
signature?
No.
Because I fly a lot. So when I have time, I'll run in there and I'll sign all the copies that they have.
But
and they know me on site now.
If I leave here today, I'm hoping it'll be signed.
Of course it will be.
Awesome.
Shawna,
Okay.
come on.
Okay, I'm just making
Come
sure.
on, I'm not a jerk.
You're not a monster.
I'm not not yet. Not yet. The fame hasn't got to my head yet.
Yeah.
You know
There's still time.
Everyone ever say to you the fame and fortune?
No.
No one's ever said that to you?
No.
No. Because I keep hearing that and I'm like, where's the fortune part?
Right. Yeah. Hey,
This is, by the way, this is Canada.
Right.
There's no such thing as fortune with fame here, unless you're like George Strombo or what's the other guy from CBC? Mansbridge.
Peter Mansbridge.
Yeah, he probably makes a few bucks.
A little bit, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. He's been around for a while.
Okay, listen. Let's start with, like, Luke and I kind of went on a Shawna, like, rabbit hole waiting for you to get here.
All right.
How many, like, you're 32 and
Yeah.
you've got how many master's degrees?
So I just have the one. It's in space.
Well, hang on. No. Isn't being a doctor a master's or something?
So that's a professional designation. Yeah. So I have a BSc in neuroscience, a master's in space studies, and then the MD, and I'm just finishing my residency, and I'll be done in a month and a half. So I'll be good.
But you already were a neurosurgeon. Like you
Yeah,
actually
so-
opened up people's heads and looked at their
Yeah,
brain.
so I started. So the way it works in Canada and pretty much all of North America is that you finish your 4-year MD and you get the doctor designation, and then you need to specialize, and that can be anywhere from 2 to 6 years depending on what you want to do. So I started out in neurosurgery, and it's something I wanted to do for a really long time. Like if you look back at my high school yearbooks, like it's like, can't wait for you to be a brain surgeon.
Oh
Like,
yeah, we saw your TED talk.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, we can.
What was it? If I ever see a special with a screwdriver and,
Yeah,
and a pitchfork or something, I'll know
Ice
it's you.
pick.
Ice
pick.
pick. If I ever
Yeah.
see a 2-for-1 ice pick special, I'll know it's you. My friends know me well. So I wanted to be a neurosurgeon for a long time, and I trained in that for 2.5 years, and it got to the point where I was opening up skulls and spines, and it was.
But as a doctor though, that comes after you get your MD.
Correct. Yeah. So
And how long did that take?
So MD is 4 years,
Right.
and then residency is your specialization. So then I
Right.
jumped ship, and now I'm in general practice, finishing up. Just wrote my licensing exams last week, which was why I was super non-responsive. Apologies. But I'm done. I've done my licensing exams.
I got your number now. I can just call you.
Yeah, exactly. We can go shooting later.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna go shooting,
Yeah, we
but
were.
the time ran out, and with
Yeah.
the shitty weather,
Yeah.
all us ex-army guys were kind of fair weather shooters. So some of the boys were like, it's like raining and it's
know.
cold.
It
And
looks
might
like there
get
might be
wet.
a cloud.
like back in the day, that was good training, and now
Yeah.
it's just like,
It'll
let's
be
just,
uncomfortable.
we can go some other time.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Next time.
okay, so but when did you start med school?
That's a good question. 2007.
Yeah,
Yeah, we started in 2007.
yeah, we all got distracted from the film crew.
So we started in 2007. I took.
What do you mean we?
Sorry, I.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
the
I was
royal
like,
we.
oh, is there
The
somebody else in the
What?
room?
No, the royal we.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I did my master's. I started in 2007. Took a break between second and third year, which is a whole different rabbit hole of a story. Came back, finished my clerkship years, your practical years, graduated in 2012. And then started off on a neurosurgery residency at the University of Alberta, and then switched and finishing up in general practice.
Right.
So that's my life in
So,
like 30 seconds. or
Can,
less.
can I get a little personal?
Yeah, sure.
So Luke and I both watched both your TED Talks
Okay.
that we could find, right?
Sure, yeah.
The first one, you sing a little song. It was pretty cute. From 2010.
Yeah.
And that was based on like just, your experiences till then. And
In Silicon, yeah. So what I was doing between second and third year med school, so I took a year off to go to this place called Singularity University, which is
see, this is the stuff I'm talking, like how much can you fit in a decade?
Yes.
Like
apparently
a shitload.
A lot. Yes.
If you want to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm not really asking about that.
okay, sure.
So your second one is
Yeah.
where you have this identity crisis.
Yeah.
You talk
Yeah, for
about
sure.
you did all this work, you achieved all these things. You're basically, somebody asked me, well, what is she? I said, well, in the dictionary under awesome, it says see Sean, right? So you've done all this stuff, and then you talk about, you went off and did the Muay Thai for how long was that? Like 6 months?
I did it for 2 weeks in 2015, 2 weeks
About
again
2
this
weeks.
year. Yeah.
Okay,
so
and this was part of your refinding yourself, and if you had to hang out with Navy SEALs, which I'm like, hey, I love Navy SEALs, but your JTF dudes could have totally hooked you up.
So here's the thing about JTF though, they're ninjas. Like you probably know JTF. I have not been able to find anything within the public domain about them because they're ghosts.
Oh, you mean like public information?
Yeah,
100%. But
Yeah.
you found a Navy SEAL, a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have found a real JTF guy.
Yeah, I just wasn't looking in the right place.
I
apparently.
guess. Yeah, they're all around here.
Yeah, well, I'm in Edmonton, so.
Yeah, well, one of our combat bases is in Edmonton City.
So, that's actually how all of this started. So, coming back to the TED Talk.
Well, hang on. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
What caused the whole identity crisis?
Okay,
That's
yeah,
something
so-
we couldn't get, neither of us could get out of your TED Talk.
Yeah, so basically I was moving out of neurosurgery, and that's internal and external factors. It was, the job situation as a surgical specialist in
Right.
Canada right now is actually pretty abysmal, especially if you're
The
doing
job what, sorry?
the job situation.
What do you mean?
Like once you're done as a cardiac surgeon, as a neurosurgeon, you need a major tertiary level care center in Canada to be able to support the level of work
So
you're doing.
there's not enough jobs.
There's not enough jobs by a long
Okay.
shot. Like you are doing your 6-year
There's
residency.
enough work, though.
There's more than enough work.
Right.
This waiting list to go
Yeah.
see a specialist is, for a disc to see a spine surgeon is 10 months in Alberta. It's crazy. But there's not enough tertiary level care centers to support that. So part of it is the job situation. So you would be doing your 6-year residency, you'd be subspecializing, you'd be doing a PhD and still not necessarily guaranteed a job at the end of it. So that's
Right.
part of it. Part of it is you need to be exceptionally technically skilled. And you know this, you were a sniper. You have to be at the top of your game. So if you're not at that level in an already overcrowded job market where there's not enough positions at
Yeah.
the end of it, you're kind of going to be SOL at the end of it. So, there was a lot of internal and external factors going on there. And so I moved out of neurosurgery and,
But you were doing surgeries.
Yeah,
So you
for
had
sure.
found one of the spots.
So I found a spot as a resident. Once you're done your training, though, you are a professional. You're an independent staff surgeon, but you need to find a hospital to hire you.
Right.
And that's where the bottleneck is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So can we hear what maybe is there personal stuff you don't want to talk about? It
Not-
seems like there's
not so far.
There's okay. Well, I don't know. I feel like did you say you got divorced or something in there?
No. I said breaking up with neurosurgery was going through a divorce.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
she meant by breakup.
Right.
Yeah, and so
right.
I mean, there's the stuff that I
But
don't.
so
yeah.
you made the decision to leave. So
Yeah.
why would you feel like you were a failure when you're making all your own moves?
Because, I mean, say...
You're being bold. You're going out. You're going after whatever you want.
Yeah. And so it was part of it was a reframing issue, right? So you're not
Touché.
looking at... You're
Yeah,
not looking
yeah,
at...
yeah.
You're like, it took me a long time to learn that, as long as you're alive, there's something to be grateful for. And that's something
Yeah.
I firmly believe. That being said, this was something I internalized since I was 15, like my entire adult life. Like I will be a neurosurgeon, and then to suddenly, not be that it's devastating. Like,
Well,
so,
even if you left on your terms, then
yeah. So
that's an interesting, like my situation. I had no choice because I stepped on the bomb.
mm-hmm.
Same for me. Since I was a little kid, be a soldier.
Yeah.
I grew up. I joined at 17 and planned to retire. So, but you made the decision based on what you knew, and you still went through that loss of identity.
Well, so if we're
That's
going,
crazy. I've never heard of that.
if we're,
I think
That's interesting.
I think it happens a lot. Like a lot of people truly identify with their job as their purpose so much that it's built in. So even when they're making the decision to step away from it for whatever reason it is, that it's like, okay, well, I gotta start over.
you have to understand, like,
How'd you
was
say,
my life.
Yeah,
like,
you called it a reframing.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, we can kind of get into the story because I think you might find it interesting, but like coming back to it, this was my life. Like there were days when you would operate till like 4 a.m. You would go home, sleep 20 minutes, shower, and come right on back. And there were days when you didn't even go home and, you didn't see the outdoors. I once, like, there was one particularly like busy week and I was like, why am I seeing new colors right now?
Why are you seeing what?
New colors right now. And it was like, oh, that's right. I've worked 95 hours in 5 days. So it's like, it's an
Is there
incredible,
even 95 hours in 5 days?
I
I
can't.
think there's
do that
120.
Huh?
So
Who's
95.
who's the astronaut?
See?
Who's the scientist?
Yeah.
Uh,
Proved.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like those are the longest days of your life, but they're also some of the best days of your life because people are trusting you to take a knife to their spine and to their brain. And, that kind of trust is, it can't really be described in words. So it's incredibly special. And, I wasn't complaining about the long days by any chance. Like I loved it, but at the same time, you have to say, like, take a step back and what's the end game here? But moving forward, so coming to the reframing and kind of how I started getting out of this black hole I'd carved out for myself.
I call it the woe is me moment.
Yeah, it totally was.
Yeah.
Like it was brutal. Like I had no sense of self-worth after that.
Yeah.
Like it was,
I hear you.
I would look at myself in the mirror and, I would say, like, I'm a disgrace. Like,
Loser.
Like, yeah, it was brutal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just, I hated myself, right? And that's kind of when in the TED
Like,
Talk,
hang on. Hate's a strong word. Did you seriously hate yourself?
I felt like dirt. I had no sense of self-worth.
Despite all that you'd achieved
It didn't
in
matter.
your young
like
life.
when your job is your life and when
Yeah.
you would live and breathe and die for your job. And the thing is, no one really understood that
Yeah.
until actually. And so this is when things kind of started to turn around. So I went through this phase where I was like watching Netflix and, wearing yoga pants and
Yeah, you said that.
in my TED Talk. I was
Netflix is pretty dope for when you just need to turn the brain off, though.
yeah.
Arrested Development.
Right?
Yeah.
So good.
How
So
happy
good.
were you when the final season came in?
Oh,
and then
yeah. It was amazing.
And then
Yeah.
Ish.
it didn't get a 2 thumbs up for me that last season.
But it was there. It was more Arrested Development, I think is what I was happy with.
100%.
Right,
It's
yeah.
better than no Arrested Development.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And so, but there comes a point in time when you look at yourself, you're like, this isn't me. I don't do this. This isn't what I do.
You're not comfortable in that skin.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And so then you have to kind of say, well, I'm not going to do this forever. I want to figure out what else I can do with my life. And so there were a couple things that helped me reframe. Part of it was, the Learner Advocacy and Wellness Office at the University of Alberta was fantastic. There's someone, I call her the equivalent of my high school guidance counselor, who would sit down with me and, I would essentially cry in front of her, and I hate crying. I don't cry. I'm not a crier. And so that's part of why I hated myself, because I just couldn't, hold back. And she would say things like, you need to learn resilience. And I didn't even know what that meant. And she would say things like, you should just be grateful. You need to learn gratitude and mindfulness. And I was like, what does that even mean? Is that a new age term that?
Yeah. So you didn't, you weren't into yoga or meditation or any of that before?
No, not really.
It's interesting.
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean, I knew what mindfulness was, and we can also talk about that a little bit later. I've done like those Vipassana retreats where you just sit and meditate for 10 days in silence, wake up at 4, go to bed at 9, and you're meditating for the time in between. And that was pretty cool, but it wasn't resonating with me, what she was saying, but at the same time I was trying to, move forward. So one part that I started working on was gratitude, right? Because no matter what your situation, especially if you're in North America, if you're in Canada, if you're in the United States,
you fucking hit the jackpot.
You hit the jackpot. I mean, you've seen it. You were in Afghanistan. Yeah. I've worked with the less fortunate in Ecuador and India. And whenever I go to India to see my relatives, like the poverty is rampant, right? So if you live in North America, you have a ton to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And then
you're all of North America, even the poorest person here is in the top 1% of the world.
It's crazy,
for
right?
wealth.
Yeah. And so then I realized, like, no matter what, like, even if I'm starting my day off feeling like I'm at rock bottom, there's something to be grateful for. And so like I've never really told anyone this, but I'd be like driving on my way to work, and I'd be just randomly crying because I just hated what I'd come to. But then I just say, well, fine, just. Pandya,
what is it about driving that makes you so melancholy sometimes?
You have time to think, I think.
Is that the problem?
I think you have time to be alone with your thoughts, and I didn't have any podcasts at the time. So.
And did you listen to music a lot when you drove?
Yeah, you'd listen to Top 40, but at the same time, like, you're just kind of thinking about your life, right? You're thinking about the mistakes you've made.
How bad is it when a Coldplay song comes on and you're sad?
Oh, tear you apart.
Oh, I get dirt in my eye every time.
Yeah. It gets dusty in the room immediately.
Who's cutting onions in here?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Pardon me, I've been sick for the last couple of days.
Yeah, and so then I wanted to move forward. So gratitude was a huge part of it. So every morning it's like, okay, I'm feeling miserable. I don't want to feel like this. Pandya, name 3 things you're grateful for.
So do you have did you come up with like a what do they call
like a mantra?
A mantra for every morning, or did you just
so there was a ton
you would say
of stuff.
Thank you?
There was it wasn't even thank you. It's like, okay, you're here right now. What are 3 things you're grateful for? Right. So it's like, okay, I start every day with a homemade latte. I have my caffeine. Awesome. Okay.
Jackpot.
Right. Anytime there's caffeine around, it's hard to be sad. Yeah. I still have a job as a doctor, and that's, you're helping.
No matter what, you're always a doctor.
And you're taken care of as a doctor in Canada. Yeah. And then, like, I'm in Canada, right? And I have my family who is, amazingly supportive despite everything.
Are you first generation?
Yeah. Me and my brother are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My parents came over here in 81.
Right. So like, thanks mom and dad for
totally.
going to a totally foreign land.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, by the way, mommy's in the room. You want to say hi? Hi. Hey. Sorry, what's your mom's first name again?
Indira, like Indira Gandhi.
Indira?
Yeah.
Oh, what a great name.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in Canada now?
Since 81.
Since 81?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's the other part of it.
How proud are you of this girl here? Amazing, right? I got 2 daughters, and you're told, like, I'm gonna be like, whenever they ask me a question, I'll be like, well, what did Shawna do? Just do what Shawna did.
Yeah, just follow that. Go ahead. That's all right.
All right, back on track here. Where were we?
Every
morning you'd look in the mirror.
Gratitude.
Get my latte, and then
just practice gratitude. And then the other part of it, it's like, well, I can't do this forever. It's like a bad breakup. Fine, you have your bad phase, but you need to eventually get on with life. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Like you say with the army, the big green machine
keeps rolling.
It's not going to stop. And you can either choose to be a part of it, or you can sit back and cry. Yeah. And that's part of it. So then I started doing all these electives, but my turning point actually was when I spent some time at Edmonton Garrison, because I was like, well, maybe joining the military is for me. So
you were thinking about joining?
Yeah, I was wanting to. It's been on something that's been on my list is to work in like the worst regions of the world as a doctor, and you know the military seemed like a good option. So
Médecins Sans Frontières isn't.
Oh, I would love to. You know,
Oh, yeah?
all those options. So I'm done residency in December. Come January, you know, Red Cross, Médecins Sans Frontières, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they're all on the list. Like there's a lot of places in the world that need a lot of help.
A lot of help, yeah.
Yeah. So I spent some time at Edmonton Garrison, and in terms of the medicine itself, not super different from primary care, but the mentality was different. You know, and so, you know, the people will take time, like the docs there, the orthopedic surgeons, they take time to teach me about things I had no idea about. So like this whole sheepdogs versus sheep versus wolves mentality, or, you know, how on killing by Grossman is required reading in the military.
It's not required, but it's
highly
hey,
suggested.
if you're in the military or law enforcement, fucking read those books.
And then even just things you would pick up on, like, you know, in the bathroom, there was this sign like, no one's here to clean up after you. If you see something that, you know, this is your home and it's messing it up, you be the change there.
Yeah.
You pick it up.
Yeah.
And sort of like, okay, this is like, you know.
I get made
you're the
fun
change.
of because if I'm in a public washroom and I'll like wash my hands.
Yeah.
And if I make like a mess around the sink,
Yeah.
I get the paper towel, and if there's paper towel, hey, whoever out there is not putting paper towel in their bathrooms, I hate you. I want to tell you that right now. I love, your little environmentally friendly hand dryer. I get it. You want to save a few bucks. But anyway, back to my point. So I'll wipe up around the sink. But even if I didn't make the mess, if there's a mess around the sink I use, I always wipe it up. I just can't stop myself.
Got to clean that sink.
It's for the next guy behind you or the next
you know what
person.
That's Jody taking ownership of his environment.
That's right.
Well, I'm a Royal. I'm from the RCR,
Yeah.
the Royal Canadian Regiment, and one of our mottos is never pass a fault. And that means if you see something, like you said, well, you saw it, now you got to fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
exactly
so that's what the motto means. It's like you always want to leave something better than how you found it, if you can.
And
or if you see trash, or, you know, if a picture frame is like unangled, you know, fix it because you're there. Anyway.
Yeah. And so my aha moment, when I kind of had this light switch flip. So I was in the sports med clinic, and this guy came in and he just wanted to get checked out before he went to try out for something called the JTF. And I was like, I was so naive at that point. I was like, GTF? What's this GTF? Right. And so I was like, so naive. And so they explained it to me, and this is going to sound so ridiculous because I know a lot of your audience is military, and obviously none of this is new to them, but it just kind of clicked to me that special ops was a world that is very, very real. It's not something you just see in Call of Duty or Medal of Honor video games or right. It just, there's men and women out there who are on the front lines doing covert ops. But the thing that resonated with me is that these are people who will push the limits, who will eat, breathe, live, sleep, and die for their job.
Yeah.
And that's their life.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever else happens, like they are made for their job and they live their job. And I thought finally someone gets it.
Ah.
And I don't,
I like that.
Yeah. And I don't mean to, you know, being from the civilian world, I don't mean to appropriate that and say, you know,
you can culturally appropriate Spec Ops all you want. Don't worry. No one's going to call you on it. Yeah. I don't need to go to a safe space because you decided to, you know, adopt the Spec Ops mentality.
Thank you for that permission, Jody.
I encourage you.
Okay, awesome. So, okay.
Yeah, you've heard the show. You know how we've actually... No, okay, finish your thought.
Yeah.
And then
doesn't matter what I was reading right before you got here.
All right. So then I was like, oh my God, someone gets it. And so I was like, is this real? And I said, tell me, like, I need to know more. And just like, it was that bit flip moment where I needed to know more. So like, even that night, I think I was like out somewhere with my dad, but I was like, JTF, like that's a real thing. Like I had to like Wikipedia, Google it. And I was like, no, like if people are working that hard, if they're pushing that hard, if there's people who truly believe in pushing their limits that hard, I need to know about it. And so from then on in, you know, I was reading every single book on Spec Ops, usually about the Navy SEALs that I could.
So can you rhyme off a couple of books that maybe you read?
Yeah. So I started off with Seal of Honor. So that's about who is it? Mike Murphy, Axelson, Dietz, and then Marcus Luttrell, who you've mentioned on this podcast. It was their mission into Afghanistan where they were
the lone
ambushed.
survivor mission.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so, first of all, they tell you about BUDS, which, for me, like, it was just, that's amazing. Like the training they have to go through, the resilience they have to display, that kind of set off that spark. And then, I read, obviously Service by Marcus Luttrell, which was an amazing book. Fearless, about Adam Brown. SEAL Team 6. Yeah, SEAL Team 6.
So you're all modern era stuff so far.
Well,
because you said you're reading mostly Navy SEAL stuff.
Yeah, because, I want to start with...
I'm Army, right? So I get it. Navy SEALs are cool, but they're all Navy.
Yeah, so if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear
We'll give you a list before you leave, but we need to pause for a second.
Yeah, sure.
We need to take a quick pee-pee break.
Sure.
There we go.
The producer presses one button.
I'm awesome.
Hey, we're back.
Hi.
Sean is still here, but all the camera crews are gone, and we should have really talked about them leaving on tape.
Right, maybe.
Well, but then they might listen and know what we said about them. I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome.
Thank
Probably.
you, CBC.
Yes. Well, hang on. They have a logo.
Okay. Thank you, unnamed camera crew.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We
were talking about the books.
The books you read.
Yeah. So we were talking about Fearless. So that one was a really good one.
Fearless is which one again?
So it's about operator Adam Brown. He was DevGru, SEAL Team 6, killed in action on an operation in Afghanistan. And so it's just about his story. He went through,
Is he the dude that fell out of the helicopter on an op? And he had
No, that was someone else. This one, it's about his kind of... He wrestled with meth addiction, actually, and it's kind of finding the world of spec ops and, having them wave that past and then, fighting with those demons to be, a stellar team guy. It's about that entire story and how he kind of balanced that with his demons, with his home life. But it also is the lesson of someone who's just a stellar teammate. And so that one and the other part of that story is that he was a guy who lost an eye in a training exercise. And, you can medically retire at that point. You can say, I'm done.
You might be forced.
You might be forced to.
Especially in a combat role.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Actually, in Canada, I know a guy lost an eye to a suicide bomber in Kabul.
Yeah.
And he couldn't go back into combat. The Canadian Armed Forces has some pretty silly fucking rules.
Yeah,
about this universality of service stuff. It's mind-numbing how rigid they are about some of this stuff. It was in the book. I'm in the States. I think it was in the book. And I'm talking to an American doctor, military doctor.
Yes.
And she's like, you could be in a coma. We'll promote you if you've earned it.
That's right.
In Canada, it's like, you got wounded. Sorry about your luck. We're not going to promote you, even though it may give you a better pension and a better medical retirement pay. Blah, 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 even if you were on the list to be promoted. Oh, hey, man. Hey, thanks. Just one more kick in the ass.
Yeah,
right on.
It's really unfortunate because, from what I can tell, reading mainstream publications, Canadian soldiers, Canadian special forces have a stellar reputation in the world. We're small, but we're effective, is my impression.
Yeah.
That being said, ever since you mentioned it on one of the early podcasts that the admin side is kind of a mess. I've been looking out for it and kind of asking all my friends.
Like the military admin?
Yeah, the military admin.
It's a disaster. Sorry, any of my friends that are military admin. There's more. Like in the years I was just in battalion, which like 1 RCR in Petawawa, I can't even come close to guessing how many times forms are lost. A file will be sent and it just disappears. I didn't get promoted to corporal for, like the day came and went. It didn't happen. And I'm like, I'm not a guy who's going to go, hey, you didn't promote me. I'll be like, well, maybe it's not my time. Maybe I miscalculated.
Yeah.
It was an extra anyway, I forget what it was, 7 months maybe. The paper was like in someone's drawer, literally, right? Luke and I just did a thing with a unit out in Shiloh.
Yeah.
They insisted on a direct deposit, made us do all this like PDF email paperwork, had to send it 3 times. And then guess what happened? They mailed me a check.
And it's kind of,
and it's
I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny. Ever since you've said this, I've been informally polling my friends in the military, and I'd say 90+% have the same story. I even talked to a guy who's training to be a paratrooper, I think, and he was expecting this, so he made duplicate copies of his bank work and submitted that as well, and it was lost as well.
You get to a point where you're going to lose it.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because on the operational side, from everything I can see, Canada has a stellar reputation. And so I feel like on the military admin side, and I'm an outsider commenting on this, take this with a grain of salt, but I feel like on the military admin side, we should be doing everything we can to help make that team and those operational frontline people.
Yeah, no. I'm not criticizing the people.
Yeah. No.
Like in the military, we have admin clerks. That's a trade.
Yeah.
And they pay you, and then they do all your paperwork. Like, this is one of the things I grappled with after I was wounded. And I've talked about it in the podcast. If you're an operator or you're a frontline infantry soldier, we'll do all your paperwork. We'll feed you. We'll put a roof over your head if you need us to, blah, blah, blah. But we want you to just concentrate on being the best soldier you can be. Mm-hmm. And then when I got wounded, suddenly I'm like, well, who's my clerk? Like, who's supposed to do all this paper? And they're like, well, you are. And I'm like, I don't even know. I barely know how to fill out a leave pass because the clerk always did it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then even when you're talking about in your book about kind of the difference between rehab south of the border versus north of the border, I felt like the medical profession should apologize to you. And I'm really sorry for what she went through, kind of having to go through the ringer here, trying to get people to, give you the rehab you needed and kind of wrestle with that.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between need and good enough. And the Canadian mentality at the time was this is good enough. Like, yeah. Why would you, and you read in the book, right? Yeah. Oh, we don't need all those fucking toys. And I almost I did lose it. And it's like, well, no, are we doing the best we can for the troops? Never mind what the average Canadian needs when they sprain their ankle playing tennis at the club once a week. How about when the guy who steps on a landmine and gets smashed and loses body parts and is a high-functioning, high-achieving, guy who wants to get after it again, comes home and is put into that system that has no idea what to do with someone like me? Maybe we should try and set something up for these guys.
Yeah, and it's,
and it blew my, when I said, send me to Texas. When I heard about Texas, and they're like, we're coming up with a Canadian solution. And I was like, that's awesome when you get it. Yeah. For the guys that get it in a few years.
Yeah.
Anyway, but their attitude, and it's like I said, it's the dichotomy of, I didn't get bad care, but I didn't get as good care for my abilities as I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
you're held back by the system that you're put in.
So from,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and the reason why I think it matters to go from good enough rehab to great rehab comes from my experience in the neurosurgical world, where surgeons can only do so much. Acutely, they can save you if you have a bleed that's compressing your brain, or if there's a mass lesion, if there's a tumor or an infection. But a lot of what comes afterwards is rehab. And, I've seen patients, and this is, by no means the case with all patients. Not everyone's going to recover, miraculously. But a lot of it comes with the rehab. So we had this lady who was densely hemiplegic with a stroke. She lost control of one entire side of her body, and we were convinced she had lost side of her body, but she had these 3 daughters who were always at the bedside, always working with her, getting her to twitch a finger even a little bit, like working with her, doing active physio. And several months later, she could overcome gravity. She could lift her hand off the bed, which, blew our minds. And then on the flip side of that, with the younger guys who get into the motor vehicle traumas, the ATV accidents, and you see a lot of those, and they're initially like they get these bad traumatic brain injuries. They turn into vegetables. For some of them, that's the end of the road. But I've worked with one surgeon in particular who never gives up on these young guys because they're still young. Their brains are tremendously plastic and can remold. And we've seen some tremendous rehab stories.
Yeah.
Where
Trevor Green, Captain Trevor Green.
That's right.
Who took the axe in the head.
Oh, I'm not aware of that story. Who's that?
What?
Who's the neurosurgeon in the room?
Yeah.
And you haven't heard of the miraculous recovery of Captain Trevor Green?
No.
Oh, you'll like that.
You have some homework to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a Canadian guy.
Okay.
Literally got his brain cut in half by an axe.
Oh, jeez.
By this kid, when they were doing a little shura with the village elders.
Oh, this was like early 2000s, was it?
Was it before or after
Late.
I was wounded? I think it was after I was wounded.
Okay.
So almost a decade.
Okay.
No, anyway, we don't have a Google guy today, and I'm not going to bother. Point is, he was considered, like from day one, they're like, he'll never be more than a vegetable.
Yeah.
And then he started moving and stuff, and then it was like, well, he'll never do this, and he'll never, and it got to the point where he managed to walk his fiancée down the aisle. He talks, he does speeches, he wrote a book, but every step it was he'll never do any better than whatever, because the medical professionals had just never seen someone.
Yeah,
but they've also, a lot of them admittedly never tried.
And that's where the value.
And
of rehab comes in.
But I have to finish.
Yeah, totally.
Most of the credit goes to his amazing wife, who gave up her job, became his full-time rehab person, and they were like, well, she was like, well, what could I do? And they were like, well, maybe you could read books and talk to him, and that's what she did. And eventually, his eyes started to move. Even Ronda Rousey, in her book, who Ronda Rousey is, of course.
Yeah, I have her book.
Yeah, she talks about how her brain had to reprogram itself so she could talk as a kid because she lost oxygen being born.
Oh, wow.
Remember, she talks about how...
Yeah, I have the book. I haven't read it yet.
So she was born with the cord around her neck?
Okay, yeah.
So when she was little, she couldn't really talk, and it was because that part of her brain had lost oxygen. So like the brain, by the time she was 5 or 6, I guess, had reprogrammed itself, so then she started talking.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, eh?
Yeah, but what we're learning is the brain is so plastic, and so to your point, like there is so much value in rehab, both military side and both civilian side, and I think on both sides we need to pay more attention to it.
I appreciate that, but I get it. Like and like I say in my book, I don't. At least I hope I said it anyway. Books are hard to write, by the way. When you write yours, call me. I'll help you out.
Okay.
Because you got a volume of books. Yeah, I'm sure. Volume 10. What I Did Last Year. By Shawna Pandya.
That's right.
Someone's knocking on the
Pause.
door.
I am producing at a very high level.
Fuck, you're producing the shit out of this podcast today.
11 out of 10.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
12 stars, bro.
Podcast Producer of the Year, 2016.
Podcast Producer of the Year for the Jody Mitic podcast. Award goes to Luke Rowan.
This guy.
Yes.
Hey, can your camera crew cause any more disruptions in my show?
I can call them and ask them if you want.
Yeah, hey, just say, hey, you guys got anything else you want to randomly leave in the space?
Maybe.
Anything else you want to just say in the middle of hey, just knock on the window in the middle of a podcast.
Totally cool.
Sorry, I just bring chaos with me wherever I go.
A tornado.
I could ask
What
them
if that was the wrong window, though? Like, imagine if they... we think that's Jody's window. Knock, knock, knock. And, some, huge fucking, wrestler dude, answer... What are you doing knocking on my window?
Just pulls the guy through the window and keeps him.
Yeah, you're mine now.
I own you.
I think you're confusing wrestlers with ogres.
Whatever.
Well, maybe.
Why are you so mean to ogres?
Well,
You're an anti-ogrist.
Probably. I'm sorry to ogres everywhere I go.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what? We're running out of time because of all the pausing because of... Hey, you know what? I can't wait to see the show. Obviously, I expect to be on season 2.
For sure.
Just because. Oh, we were just giving shit to the medical system. That horse is dead. Let's.
We were talking about books before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm over it. Let's see. Luke's got to go, and like I said,
Sure,
I gotta get the kids to wherever. And I know the listeners. We talked a lot about your stuff. You know what, guys? Like, honestly, go on YouTube and type in Shawna Pandya and watch her. That was from the spring,
this
right?
Year, 2016,
but
March.
it was watch her TED Talk from this year, in March 2016, and you'll get a lot of her story. We got it. We were chatting before you got here, and we were both like, what caused this monumental shift in her wanting to change her life? So when you said something about breakup in the speech, like Luke went, well, maybe she got a divorce.
No.
Yeah. And stuff. So that's why I asked the question, but also you kind of left it open-ended. So I was like, okay, is there something, like, was there trauma? Was there, so you explained it actually really well. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like my Top Gun moment in my book, Unflinching, the Making of a Canadian Sniper. Second time I've mentioned it on the podcast today.
By Simon & Schuster.
I got another. Wait, I can't say it yet. Anyway, Simon & Schuster and I have a project that we're doing. I know, I almost. Give me 2 more weeks. Fan questions?
Yeah, we do have some questions for you if you want to jump into that.
Sure, we can.
Absolutely. Oh, I actually have a question first, and because I produce this thing, I get to ask one.
You have a microphone.
Yeah, pass me that. So you said in the TED Talk that you will learn something from everyone you meet.
Yeah, totally.
So was there somebody that has taught you something that was very valuable that they were not, say, like in a teaching position, like a professor or a senior or something? Like was there a person who's passed something on to you that maybe you weren't expecting to get something from them?
Yeah, for sure. And this happens all the time, every day. But one thing that sticks out is, with my schedule, my Taekwondo training can be sporadic at times. And so one day I was at class, and me and one of my junior black belts were always paired together because we're similar in height, similar in rank. And she just said to me, she said, I like it when you show up to class. It makes me want to come to class more, and it makes me want to train harder. And I didn't realize that not only am I making myself better when I train more, but I kind of have an obligation to show up and to make others train more. And it motivated me to train more. Yeah. So, she was 16 or 17 at the time. And, her just saying that to me just made me she taught me that I need to show up. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
For sure.
You don't realize how much other people look up to you.
I genuinely don't. Like, people are sending me messages and I'm just like, I'm not awesome. You're awesome. You raise human beings. Anyone who's a parent, you have my utmost respect.
Yeah. Well, the good parents.
Yeah. The good parents.
There's a whole lot of shitty parents out there.
With a caveat in there.
Saw one the other day. Made me just want to. Anyway.
There's some questionable activities.
There are some questionable.
Yeah. Like my rant on parking. Like the people that raise someone who won't park in the lines. Those are the parents I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Actually, speaking of parents, we can jump into a question here.
Sure.
Did your parents do anything to promote your interest in space? Where did it come from?
Well, I'm looking over at my mom right now. Yeah, she
better get this right.
She did a bunch of things. So, she sat down with me and my brother when we were really young. Like, I have vague memories of this, from 4 and 5. Like, she would sit down and she would teach us things like the alphabet or, what the vowel sounds are. And I distinctly remember her explaining to me what space is. And I remember her using the example of my teddy bear, which was a mouse, which I creatively called Mousy.
Excellent.
I was a creative 4-year-old. And she's like, so if you were in space and you held your Mousy in space, she would just float away. And, she would take time to sit down with us and teach us things. And then later on, we'd go camping when we were like 9 and 10, and we would stay up late and watch, the Perseids meteor shower, or just be in the middle of nowhere, and the arm of the Milky Way would just come out and, just stare at you being away from the city.
Right. But at what point was it, okay, I'm going to be a doctor and a brain surgeon? Did in there was the list astronaut was on that list as well?
Yeah, I went through an evolution. So I started off wanting to be a transformer before I realized you can't do that.
Who did? I still want to be a transformer.
Yeah, there's hope.
I wanted to.
Hey, look, I'm already got some plastic and metal parts.
That's true.
It could have.
Okay, so Jody can be a transformer. I'm not quite there yet.
Right.
So I want to be Optimus Prime, and then I kind of whittled it down. Okay, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be Bill Gates. I want to solve all the world's problems. Then I realized you don't go to school and get a degree in billionaireology.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, I want to be director of NASA, but wasn't sure if you could do that as a Canadian.
Hang on, how old were you?
This was an evolution over the years.
That time, but what kid even knows what the director of NASA exists?
I was in junior high at this point. I was 12.
Right, okay.
I was 12. And then by the time I was 14, it's true. I resemble that remark.
Hashtag super nerd. But hey, high achiever, right? Hey, we had to drop the nerd bomb at some point.
It was just waiting to happen. I was surprised it didn't happen earlier.
Oh, we were planning it. That was a planned nerd drop. Totally.
Big time. We had a big talk about it.
Yeah, actually, most of our talk before we got here was why did she leave neurosurgery and how big a nerd is she?
Have we answered those questions yet? Both of them?
Well, but hey, listen, we need nerds.
Okay.
Leave me in the middle of like Joe Rogan says, I wouldn't come out of the woods with an iPhone.
Right.
Yeah. Creative people make the world go around, and I like to think I'm creative, but I've never been I can't really draw. I can kind of, I can sit here and wax it with you a little bit, but and I could shoot the shit out of with sniper rifles, but after that, I'm pretty much tapped out.
See, and nerd, I think it's taken on something new too. It's
it's prideful now.
It's you're a shooting nerd. It's like,
oh, I'm a super nerd shooter.
Nerd is shooting somebody that knows a ton of information.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like a bad thing anymore. It's like a term that's given to somebody who knows a lot of things.
Yeah, but we could get into the debate about the assault on intellectualism, but
right.
But yeah, good luck tweeting about it if you get rid of all the nerds.
That's right.
How'd we get on that tangent?
We were talking about my parents encouraging me and what they did and what I wanted to be.
Oh, right. And when you decided director of NASA at 12,
and then,
I think I was still playing with mud.
I definitely had a G.I. Joe up my nose most of the day.
Yeah. I was, swinging from branch to branch as a chimpanzee still. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. And she's like, director of NASA. Right on.
And so then I was like, well, I'm not sure you can do that as a Canadian. NASA's American, obviously. So I was like, let's be an astronaut. And then I was like, well, you can't go to astronaut school straight out of high school, so let's be a neurosurgeon. Then just stuck with that for a while.
Well, a lot of astronauts are pilots and stuff.
Pilots and doctors, for sure.
But So what's a scientist-astronaut or astronaut scientist?
So a citizen scientist-astronaut, and that's why I'm here in Ottawa this week. So this is a whole new, branch that's kind of emerging. So citizen science is basically saying you don't have the formal training, you didn't go to, a formal academic institution, but you have the interest and you want to undergo the training, in this case in astronautics. So, meet some basic qualifications, have your scuba diving license, have a background in STEM, and, apply.
Background in what?
In science, technology, engineering, medicine, so STEM fields. Right.
We're not all nerds here. Sorry.
I'll stop speaking in jargon. And so that's how I got involved in Project Possum, which is in Longford.
Oh yeah, you gave me these dope.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna deliver these to my kids tonight.
Yeah. So for those,
don't forget for yours.
Yeah, for sure.
He's holding up possum patches. So polar suborbital science of the upper mesosphere.
This possum has no business going to space. Look at him.
He looks kind of.
Can he even do one push-up? Come on, bro.
So it's a fancy way of saying that we're interested in studying clouds in the upper mesosphere that have to do with global warming.
Is possum a synonym?
Yeah, it stands for polar suborbital science of the upper mesosphere.
Oh, right. Because I was like, possums aren't really
yeah. The space world loves its acronyms for sure.
So does the military.
I think they have that in common for sure. And so the idea is that we're going to go up when there's suborbital vehicles available as early as 2018, go to the upper mesosphere and study these things called noctilucent clouds, which are thought to be a reflection of global warming, and get more input about them by sampling them, by getting spectroscopy on them, and by getting high resolution video on them. So it's not through the traditional routes of the Canadian Space Agency, it's not through NASA, but it's through an independent organization with the potential to go above the 100-kilometer Kármán line where space starts.
All I heard was science, science, rocket ships.
Awesome.
Hashtag nerd.
Hashtag super nerd. Could you not go and work at SpaceX maybe? Or once you're done all this training?
There's always potential depending on what they're looking for. I know more on the engineering side, they tend to be looking for people, but if they want,
if they want to build stuff like this, like these suborbital, that's what I said, vehicles, that are like the reusable rocket that he's now landed, like 5 times the same rocket or something?
Yeah, the Falcon X.
So eventually they'll need people like you to do their own type of, like he's got his own space agency almost.
Elon Musk is doing really fantastic things that no one would have thought possible even, 3-4 years ago. And so for him, when he says I'm going to Mars, people tend to sit up, take notice, and believe it because of his track record. With other people, not so much. Coming back to the suborbital science, that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for companies like X-Core with their links, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, to just create a vehicle and say, hey, we need scientists. And then the projects I'm with, Project Possum, Project Phenom, will say, hey, we've trained people. Here we go.
Yeah. It's just like, at that point, it's like, which car do you want to rent?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Which rocket ship are you going to get on?
Yeah, and it's been a long time.
Because then they'll contract your scientific studies. It'll be a contract for them to transport it. Yeah. Basically.
So basically our deal is with these projects, if you have science that needs to be done, hey, here's people who've been through the training, who've been through the ringer, proven themselves.
Oh, so you're like a bunch of mercenaries. I like it. I like it. Okay.
Next question. Someone wants to know, what is your study regimen like? Or maybe better, like how do you learn? How did you learn all these things?
That's a really good question. It depends on what you're trying to do. So quickly, the way we learn is there's a threefold process. There's registration, storage, and retrieval. So that's kind of the theory behind it. And basically knowing yourself, whether you're a visual learner, whether you're a hands-on learner, and then using that. So different things I use to learn. So if I'm doing something that requires a lot of visuospatial awareness, so with piloting, I actually go through the motions in air. So if you see me standing in the middle of the street doing weird things with my hands, I'm probably going through a piloting maneuver and thinking what if I need to put the throttle in. Or
Pro tip, just don't do that in the middle of the street.
Also, in the privacy of my own home.
Well, or, in your car, maybe at the gym, in the corner. I'm just saying, like, if I see you there, I might think there's something wrong.
Hashtag super nerd.
Right?
We're getting a t-shirt made up.
Yeah, definitely.
Super nerd.
I will proudly wear that shirt.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Well, we need a website first.
Yeah. Well.
And then we need quality t-shirts. This is like, you heard me talking to the TV guy, did you? Or you were talking about it. The podcast is doing really well. Thanks everybody, by the way. We love you guys. We grow consistently every month. Last month was our biggest month, but we also put out the most amount of content. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we grow consistently every month with new listeners. We can track that, right?
For sure, yeah.
And people now are becoming true fans and stuff, and they want to support us. Like, so they're like, where do we buy t-shirt? Because every podcast has a t-shirt, right? Mm-hmm. How do we help you guys? And we don't want to rush. So, we're looking for good t-shirts from ethical sources. Mm-hmm. We want the website to be rock solid before we turn it on. But it's one of those chicken and egg situations, because the website would 100% help us grow. Mm-hmm. But until the website's ready, you can't just throw it up there, right? Because then it'd be dog shit, and then people go on and get frustrated and never come back. So, anyway, eventually maybe we'll have a Shawna Pandya Pandya super nerd t-shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
If there isn't already some trademarked
right
stuff out there. Like
Yeah.
someone's trademarking it right now.
yeah
Like beat you nerds.
I will proudly wear that shirt.
We'll make you a shirt. Okay, so
The question of how to learn.
well, hang on. You're sorry. You're kind of explaining how everyone learns.
So what I'm saying is it depends on what I'm doing. So
So you've managed to train yourself to know what kind of learning you need to engage in.
yeah, and so
That's awesome.
if
I need
it's-
to do that.
If it's
That's a skill.
medicine, that's not something you can cram. It's something you need to be reading on a daily basis. And then what helps with retention is explaining it to someone else, whether it's my patients or to a junior resident or a med student. So that really helps. Teaching it to someone else really helps me. And then with languages, so in the past year, I've taken on Russian, Spanish, and Duolingo, and
Okay.
then just doing it every day. Doing it every day.
Now you're gonna speak 5 languages?
I don't speak good Russian, to be fair.
sure so the Russian's a little rusty.
I know how to say "niet"
Oh good
and "das vidanya" and no, that's it. Privet.
Я хочу шоколад. I want chocolate.
Every girl should know how to say that,
That's
I guess.
the most important
If you're a
one.
guy-
I shouldn't say girl. Sorry.
Man, I love me some
woman.
That's
chocolate.
amazing.
Yeah
Yeah.
Chocolate is.
Yeah, хочу pivo. I
I'm-
want beer.
I gotta be honest. I don't really have a sweet tooth, but good chocolate will lure me in every
Favorite
time.
Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mini Kit Kats for Halloween.
Yeah, yeah.
So hard not to eat one. So I ate one.
right
But they're the mini ones. Come on. I used to
Come on.
buy the extra big chunky, the Kit Kats that it's like 1 instead of like the 4.
Yeah.
I used to buy the big chunky one. The
One
big
big
chunky
stick.
one. Like the biggest, like a big one.
yeah
Because there's 2 sizes.
it's like the size of your forearm.
It's basically a baby's arm
Yeah.
of chocolate,
Yeah.
right? And I would like buy one and go to the dog park, walk the dogs, and just like eat that. And
Absolutely.
It was one of my fat and lazy days.
Right.
Post blowing up.
Yeah.
Or I would have a pocket full of gumballs for a while. Like the gumballs from the machine. I would go to the bulk barn and buy like a bag of like hundreds and keep them in the car. And I just all day be like munching on gumballs. It's still one of my favorite things to do.
Gumballs.
They're delicious, and each one is a different flavor.
Yeah.
And I'd get the sour ones.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like me some
Oh,
sour.
buddy.
Yeah.
So you mix, like, put in one regular gumball, and then once, like, the flavor starts to go, fire in a sour one.
Yeah. Ooh,
Best afternoon ever. The only thing that would be better if there was, like, a caffeinated.
Caffeinated
Flavor one.
sour gumball.
Funny
Right.
enough, in the Army, we used to get, I think they still get it, caffeine gum.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's
and
amazing.
I remember I was at a sniper competition in Gagetown, and the American guy showed up with the samples, right? Because they were just starting to get it, and they were marketing it to snipers, special operators, guys who do long missions and stuff.
Yeah.
So he hands me, it came in a pack of 2. And he was like, yeah, each one of these is worth like 4 cups of coffee or something, right? So I immediately open it, fire both pieces into my mouth.
Of course.
I remember specifically how like just suddenly I was the happiest guy in the room. I'm like twitching. It's kind of like watching my kids when they get sugar and their pupils fucking dilate. And suddenly it's just like, bah! That was me. I was like 26 or something like that. And I was probably the youngest guy in the room anyway. So anyway, yeah. So, why the fuck are we talking about this stuff?
Gumballs, huh? Because
Why did this is what we do, Shawna? You've listened to the
I
show.
listened to the podcast.
What a
Yeah,
mess.
yeah.
we got onto that from chocolate, and we got to chocolate.
Because she's learning Russian because she has a lot of spare. You don't have kids, do you?
I don't have kids.
Are you married?
I'm not. No.
Yeah, so she has lots of spare time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I'm starting to feel like a lazy bitch. Like,
I have to go home and read.
I gotta read.
I have to leave it.
I got 3 books over there that I'm reading, and I'm like, I gotta finish one of those at this point now. I'm like, as soon as she's gone,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read.
That's right. That's right.
I'm relearning French.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
C'est
30% of the area that I'm a counselor for is francophone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they were really impressed with me the other day. I gave a full speech in French.
Amazing.
And I said, my 8-year-old daughter has been helping me because she takes French immersion.
Yeah.
And this one guy gets up and he goes, Yeah, that was really good. You sounded exactly like an 8-year-old.
Amazing.
Oh, it was good. It was good. No, the crowd loved it. So you got me. You got me. It's cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Next question.
Let's see here.
Are we done with the studying? We're good.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
she explained it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think what people... No, okay, go. I don't know. I can't get off track.
Is there one of your activities that puts you in air quotations flow mode more than another? So for example, do you feel more in the flow when you're flying or say doing martial arts?
Oh gosh. Oh man, who screens these questions? That's a good question. I think anything that requires focus. So when you're flying, especially when you're flying solo, especially the first few times, it's mildly terrifying and you don't want to screw it up. So that definitely puts you in a very focused zone. So when you're doing anything that's high risk, skydiving as well, like you're focused. But even in martial arts, so I love just getting a heavy bag or a kick bag, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's Taekwondo, and just, especially if you had a stressful day and, beating the heck out of it. I don't think it's so much a specific activity as just the need to focus or the want to focus.
Okay.
But all of those things that I mentioned do put me in the zone.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. And
No one screens the questions. You're looking at the team right here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Also, question screener of the year, 2016.
In the category of question screener for the Jody Mitic podcast, the winner is...
Yeah. I had a little follow-up on that. So,
sure.
there is something, say, technical to, your brain being in that flow state, right?
Mm-hmm.
What, maybe could you tell us what's actually, going on with the brain when you have that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. For sure, there's been functional magnetic resonance imaging studies where they put you in the MRI and see what part of your brain lights up. I'm not up to date on those studies. I'm not sure what happens in your brain, which part's lighting up.
She just works on the hardware.
Right.
She's not up on the software.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But there is something that is different that clicks on when those things start to happen, when you have those feelings, right?
Yeah, and I think I think everyone's pretty much been through a flow state when you're in the zone and, you have somewhere to be, but you're writing an essay, you're writing a book, you're writing whatever, and you're in the zone. Or even if you're, doing cardio and you're on a solid run and you're past your time, but you just want to keep going,
right.
That flow state feels amazing, and trying to replicate that, I think, is something a lot of
I
people
find
do more.
timelines help me.
Yes.
The closer, and I don't think that's unusual.
Not
I think
at
it's
all.
one of the reasons why humans procrastinate so much.
For sure.
I can do the early rough work,
Yeah.
a month beforehand.
Yeah.
But and I think I talked about in the last podcast, things don't really finish up until right
30
when they have
minutes
to be.
before. Yeah, for sure. And I think
But how else do you do it, right?
I think there's something to be said for structured procrastination. So I maybe that's the reason I take on so much, because sometimes
It's not like you're doing it all
yeah
at once.
Sometimes I put off something by getting a whole bunch of other things done, and that's where checklists and also deadlines and also procrastinating from something else helps get things accomplished, for sure, for me personally.
Prioritize and execute.
Oh yeah, it's almost
Freedom
like you
through
listen
discipline.
to
Shout out to Jocko.
Right?
it's almost like you listen to a certain podcast.
I do every now and again.
Nice shirt, by the way.
One of us might have been on that podcast.
Oh, who's that?
So we have any more questions?
We actually there were some other ones, but we actually touched on it on the way through. Yeah. So
I want to get her opinion on something.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Just real quick, because you're a woman. The only other woman we had on was
Valerie.
What's that?
Wasn't it Valerie? Valerie, one of the earlier podcasts.
She has 12 kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And she has a job. And
my God.
and talk about Superwoman.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So okay, right before you got here,
Yes.
or no, one of my buddies
Yes.
posted on Facebook this study, apparently, that women find the dad bod more attractive, says Yale professor in his study. And I say, bullshit. So you're a woman. Are you just looking at the dad bod oh yeah, let me have some of that? I think it's people just trying to make excuses so they can be lazy and eat pizza.
Yeah. So just to define, like dad bod, letting yourself go, not taking care of yourself.
No, dad bod. You apparently the true dad. Like so. Who's the guy in the interview? Seth Rogen.
Oh,
Seth
yeah.
Rogen.
Yeah.
So he was held up as an example of the dad bod, but no, because he's never really worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the dad bod is the guy who kind of goes to the gym, once or twice a week, has a bit of a gut, but isn't like fat.
Maybe it's personal preference, but I say anytime you can work out, make yourself better, make yourself fitter, and just get after it. Go do it.
That's what you and I say, but even I went through a period after the injury, but I'm just saying, like, people are just looking for excuses to not eat right, to not go, women find it more attractive anyway. No, they don't, man. It's going to go ahead and tell you. Now, like, guys are, like, scientifically proven attracted to a woman that has a little bit more weight on her in certain areas of the body. That's just biology, right? But, maybe in biological terms, because like gut and love handles, as we call them, in caveman days was a sign of, or whatever, hunter-gatherer days was a sign that you were good at hunting because you brought in more calories.
Yeah.
Right. And and it's funny, like I was listening to, is it anthropology that studies the human?
Yes, or sociology.
Evolution.
Yeah, anthropology.
You can still run, right? Like even with a what did I do?
You broke it.
I think you just pulled out your headphone.
Oh, there you go. You can still run, right? You can still do most things, even with a gut and some love handles. So maybe biologically, for a woman, she sees that, she goes, "Oh, there's a good hunter,"
right?
But I think there's a limit.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all on the same page here, and I think ultimately, at the end of the day, any time that you're going to make yourself better, hit the gym, get fitter, I think that's better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you can't afford the gym, like, do some push-ups, do a few sit-ups, go for a walk.
Go for a run.
Go for a run. But I just, I see that my buddy, right, he's military, puts that up there, and he's like, there you go, ladies. And I'm like, and then I just wrote my comment was like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
1,700 likes.
Yeah, that's right.
17. Yeah, it's gone fire. Let's skip. Well, did you know they found a long lost nuclear bomb?
No,
did you hear about this?
I did not. So
Luke read the story more, but I just thought it was kind of neat because you're learning how to fly and you're going to the space and so in what was it, 56?
It was in 58. The U.S. Air Force, they were doing a combat mission, a simulation of a combat mission. So a B-47 bomber, and it collided with an F-86 Sabre jet. The fighter jet was...
But it was off the coast of BC.
Really?
Right?
No, sir, Georgia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why did I think this was in BC?
No, like it was Canadian tourists. I think they were from BC, but they were in Georgia, and they were scuba diving, and they found it was a Mark 15, 3.8 megaton bomb.
That those 3.8 ones.
Yeah,
little baby bomb.
Baby bomb that the B-47 had to ditch because after they collided, the like wing and the engine was damaged, and the pilot was instructed to ditch the bomb before attempting to land. So they ditched it there in that body of water, and for 6 weeks after they searched for it, and they could never find it.
Wow.
And then I guess they just gave up at some point. But
you know what's funny though? Like in conspiracy theory circles, that would be like, like when you always see in the movies, like a robbery will happen, and then the owner of the jewelry store will recover the stuff, but still won't tell anybody, so he gets the insurance money or whatever. Conspiracy theorists for sure have for years talked about this bomb was lost.
Right, yeah.
But then it was probably turned around and used for something like nefarious by the government and the guys in the black helicopters.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they got the insurance money.
And, and the Air Force still collected the insurance on the 3.8 megaton bomb.
That's
no
right.
big deal.
Uh-oh. I'm getting texts from baby mama. I don't want to stop.
No, eh?
This is bumming me out.
Feels too good.
Well, no.
Hey, whoa.
Okay, fella. Way to like make it awkward in the room.
I'm talking about the podcast is so good.
What are you feeling? Is that your hand under the table right now?
No, sir.
Okay, you got both hands there. I can
both
see
hands
it.
on the microphone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're what's friendly in here?
Hey,
who was the dude who hugged me? The big tall guy.
That was one of our videographers.
No, I know. Oh, he's not even that close to you. I don't know. He like hugged me. I'm cool with it. I was just like, don't even know your name, bro.
Sometimes you just gotta hug
it out.
Hug it out.
For sure.
But we got to end it here.
Alrighty.
And we were gonna go shooting, but a timetable, everything. I'm glad you're in Ottawa.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fucking good luck with all this. Like I can't wait to say I know an astronaut.
Yeah, for sure. Super
right?
Cool.
Like it's probably one of the coolest things ever. And we're gonna have you back. And we're going to have you back
for sure.
Without any distractions. Nobody knocking on windows in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
No one telling me what to wear or what to say in my own place.
Forgetting their camera gear.
Well, the dude wouldn't let me wear my T-shirt. I almost threw him out of here.
Too funny.
But, it's the rules. It's not him, right? It's the rules of producing TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway... do you got anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being flexible. I know your schedule is madness, and then
like I said, man, like anything we got to do to get you on the podcast, we'll do it.
Well, I really appreciate it. Yeah. That's really fantastic. I'd love to come back. If anyone has any questions, you can always find me on Twitter.
Where else are you? On your Instagram?
I'm on Instagram as well, on Facebook, at Shawna Pandya, so SHAWNA.
Wait, is that your personal Facebook?
Yeah, maybe Facebook is less good. I don't have a public page yet. Twitter, for sure I'm on. Instagram, so at Shawna Pandya, SHAWNA PANDYA.
Awesome.
Right on.
You know where to find me, folks. You know where to find Luke.
Yes, sir.
You've heard it 21 times before.
That's right.
If you want to get in touch with the show, how about you email us at thejodymiticpodcast@gmail.com, or you can Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at us.
Yep.
And you know what, guys? It would really, really, really help us if you went to iTunes and left a review.
Yep.
And I think you can... Is there stars you can do?
Yeah, you can do like a star rating.
Yeah. If you guys could do that for us, it would help us move up the iTunes rankings. And might get us on the podcast page, like with our logo there. That'd be really awesome, and then we could help the show grow. And we're working on the website. You know, we were just talking about it, and we want to take things one step at a time. We don't want to rush into anything. I don't want to put out a dog shit website and get shitty shirts and all that stuff. But I know some of you guys want to help, and we appreciate it, and we will let you help us at some point. But right now, you can help us the most by doing that. And thanks for being supporters, and thanks for listening, and thanks for being some of the good guys. And as we like to say on the show, we are the good guys, and we're out.